Your testosterone levels could be 25% lower than they were just 6 months ago. And it's not your age. It's not your genetics. It's something invisible happening inside your body right now while you're watching this. Before we dive in, here are the 5 critical discoveries you'll learn in this video. 1. The cortisol testosterone hijacking. How chronic stress literally steals the raw materials your body needs to produce testosterone, cutting production by up to 50%. 2. The sleep catastrophe. Why losing just 1 week of proper sleep drops your testosterone as much as aging 10-15 years, and most men don't even know it's happening. 3. The mitochondrial shutdown, the cellular damage stress causes in your Leydig cells that blocks testosterone production at the source, and why this matters more than your hormone levels. 4. The metabolic disaster loop, how stress creates belly fat, which creates more estrogen, which lowers testosterone, which creates more stress, and how to break this vicious cycle. 5. The 48-hour opportunity window. Why the testosterone response to stress management peaks within 48 hours, and how to leverage this biological window for maximum recovery. Let me tell you about something that's happening to millions of men right now, in this exact moment, and most of them have no idea. According to research from the University of Chicago Medical Center, chronic stress can reduce a man's testosterone levels by the same amount as aging 10 to 15 years. But here's what makes this truly dangerous. Unlike aging, which happens gradually, stress-induced testosterone decline can happen in weeks, sometimes days. Think about that for a second. You could be 32 years old with the hormonal profile of a 47-year-old. Not because of time, because of stress. And I'm not talking about the stress you feel. I'm talking about what stress is doing to your body at the cellular level right now as we speak that you can't feel. The silent biological warfare happening in your Leydig cells, your mitochondria, your hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. The science is clear. When chronic stress hijacks your endocrine system, testosterone production doesn't just slow down, it gets systematically dismantled. The National Institutes of Health conducted trials on 788 men and found that low testosterone correlates with reduced vitality, diminished sexual function, and decreased physical performance. But what they also discovered was even more alarming. Stress doesn't just lower testosterone. It changes how your body responds to testosterone. Your androgen receptors become less sensitive. Your sex hormone binding globulin gets suppressed. Your body starts prioritizing survival over vitality, over strength, over reproduction. This isn't about feeling tired or having low libido, though those are symptoms. This is about your body making a fundamental biological decision. We're in crisis mode. Shut down everything that isn't essential for survival. And the worst part, most men don't connect the dots. They blame their age, their busy schedule, their genetics. They accept the fatigue, the brain fog, the disappearing muscle mass, the weight gain around their midsection as just part of getting older. But research from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism tells a different story. Men with chronically elevated cortisol levels, the primary stress hormone, had testosterone levels 25 to 50% lower than men with normal cortisol patterns. 25 to 50%. That's not aging. That's damage. So why should you watch this entire video? Because understanding the mechanism is the first step to reversing it. And reverse it you can if you know what you're dealing with. The research is unambiguous. When you address the root causes of stress-induced testosterone decline with targeted interventions, your body can restore testosterone production rapidly. We're talking about measurable changes in 48 hours, significant changes in 4 weeks, transformative changes in 12 weeks. But here's the thing most men miss. You can't just supplement your way out of this problem. You can't just work out harder or sleep more and expect it to fix itself. The biological mechanisms at play are interconnected, sophisticated, and they require a comprehensive understanding to address effectively. This is why men struggle silently with this issue. They try one intervention. Maybe they start taking zinc or vitamin D. Maybe they try to hit the gym more often. And when it doesn't work, they give up, thinking it's hopeless. But they were never addressing the real problem. The real problem isn't that your body can't produce testosterone. It's that stress has hijacked the entire production system. Over the next several minutes, we're going to break down exactly what's happening inside your body. We'll look at the research, real studies from PubMed, the NIH, peer-reviewed journals, not bro science or marketing claims. We'll examine the mechanisms, how cortisol competes with testosterone for the same biochemical precursors, how chronic stress damages your mitochondria, how sleep deprivation crashes your hormones, how nutrition deficiencies create bottlenecks in production. And then, and this is the crucial part, we'll show you the evidence-based protocol for reversing it, the specific interventions that clinical trials have proven work, not tomorrow, not someday, starting today. Because here's what I want you to understand. Your vitality isn't gone. It's suppressed, and suppression can be lifted. Your testosterone production isn't broken. It's hijacked, and hijackings can be reversed. Your body wants to be strong, energetic, vital. That's its default state. Stress has pushed it into crisis mode. Our job is to show it that the crisis is over. So stay with me. Pay attention to the details, because by the end of this video, you'll understand your body's stress response better than 99% of men out there, and more importantly, you'll know exactly what to do about it. Let's begin. 1. The stress testosterone warfare. Let's start with what's actually happening in your body when stress hits your testosterone production. Your body produces testosterone through what's called the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, or HPG axis. Think of this as a communication highway. Your brain, hypothalamus, sends signals to your pituitary gland, which then signals your testicles, specifically the Leydig cells, to produce testosterone. Under normal conditions, this system hums along beautifully. Your body produces testosterone in pulses throughout the day, with peak production happening during sleep. Everything's balanced. But then stress enters the picture. When you experience chronic stress, whether it's work pressure, relationship problems, financial anxiety, or even overtraining, your body activates a different system, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or HPA axis. This is your stress response system. Here's where it gets critical. According to research published in the Journal of Cell and Molecular Medicine, chronic stress triggers your HPA axis to pump out cortisol. And here's the problem. Cortisol and testosterone are both synthesized from the same precursor, cholesterol. Think of cholesterol as raw material in a factory. Your body can use it to make cortisol or testosterone. But when the HPA axis is activated, it doesn't ask permission. It hijacks the production line. Your body literally diverts pregnenolone, the intermediate molecule, toward cortisol production at the expense of testosterone. This isn't speculation. This is documented biochemistry. A study from PMC demonstrated that chronic stress inhibits testosterone synthesis in Leydig cells through mitochondrial damage. Let me repeat that. Stress doesn't just lower testosterone. It damages the cellular machinery that produces it. The researchers found that a specific protein called ATP5A1, which is essential for mitochondrial function in Leydig cells, significantly decreases during chronic stress. Without proper mitochondrial function, your Leydig cells can't produce testosterone efficiently, even if you have all the right raw materials. It gets worse. Research from the Caerphilly study in Wales, which followed 2,512 men for 16.5 years, found that a high cortisol to testosterone ratio is a strong predictor of ischemic heart disease. The men with the highest cortisol to testosterone ratios had significantly increased risk of cardiovascular events. But here's what really matters for you. The study demonstrated that chronic stress creates a state where cortisol remains elevated while testosterone drops. This isn't temporary. Without intervention, this becomes your new baseline, and the consequences cascade through your entire body. 2. The sleep devastation. If stress is the gun, sleep deprivation is pulling the trigger. Let's talk about one of the most underestimated factors in testosterone production: sleep. Research from the University of Chicago, published in JAMA, examined young, healthy men who slept less than 5 hours per night for just 1 week. The results were shocking. Their testosterone levels dropped by the same amount as aging 10 to 15 years. 1 week, 10 to 15 years of aging. Here's why. The majority of daily testosterone release in men occurs during sleep, specifically during REM and deep sleep stages. If you're not getting quality sleep, you're not producing testosterone. Period. A systematic review and meta-analysis published in Sleep Medicine analyzed 18 studies involving 252 men. The findings were clear. Total sleep deprivation, 24 hours or more, reduced male testosterone levels significantly. The standard mean difference was 0.64, which in plain language means a substantial, measurable drop. But here's what most men don't realize. Partial sleep deprivation, like consistently getting 6 hours instead of 7 to 8, doesn't show immediate effects. It's insidious. Your testosterone doesn't crash overnight. It erodes gradually, week after week, until you're operating at 70%, then 60%, then 50% of your optimal levels. And you don't notice because it happens so slowly. A study on U.S. Army Rangers showed that after just 1 night of sleep deprivation during training, testosterone levels dropped by 25-28%. These are elite athletes in peak physical condition. 1 night. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which analyzed 8,648 men and women, found that sleep duration affects testosterone differently depending on age. For men aged 41 to 64, sleeping 9 or more hours was associated with higher odds of low testosterone, but the sweet spot, 7 to 8 hours consistently. The mechanism is clear. Sleep regulates the pulsatile release of luteinizing hormone, which directly signals testosterone production. Disrupt sleep, you disrupt the signal. Disrupt the signal, you disrupt production. And here's the vicious cycle. Low testosterone makes it harder to sleep. Stress makes it harder to sleep. Poor sleep lowers testosterone and raises cortisol. Higher cortisol creates more stress. More stress disrupts sleep further. It's a metabolic disaster loop. 3. The nutritional bottleneck. Even if you manage stress and sleep perfectly, your body can't produce testosterone without the right building blocks. Research is unambiguous on this. 3 nutrients are absolutely critical for testosterone production: zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D. Let's start with zinc. A study published in Nutrition found that zinc deficiency causes a 75% drop in testosterone within 6 months. 75%. And zinc deficiency is more common than you think. It's lost through sweat, meaning athletes and men who train hard are particularly at risk. Zinc directly participates in testosterone synthesis at the enzymatic level. It's a cofactor for the enzymes that convert cholesterol to testosterone. Without adequate zinc, this conversion simply doesn't happen efficiently. A systematic review in the Journal of Trace Elements in Medicine and Biology confirmed that zinc supplementation increases testosterone levels, particularly in men who are deficient. But here's the key. If you're already sufficient, more zinc won't help. This is about correcting deficiency, not supraphysiological dosing. Now magnesium. Research from Biological Trace Element Research showed that men who took 450 milligrams of magnesium daily increased their testosterone by 24% in just 4 weeks. 24%. in 1 month. But magnesium's role goes beyond direct testosterone production. Magnesium is essential for converting vitamin D into its active form, and vitamin D is crucial for hormone production. See how these nutrients work synergistically? A study in the International Journal of Andrology found that higher magnesium intake correlates with better testosterone levels, more muscle mass, and improved physical performance. Magnesium supports over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those in the mitochondria where testosterone synthesis occurs. And vitamin D? Research from Hormone and Metabolic Research showed that vitamin D supplementation increases testosterone levels in men who are deficient. The relationship is dose-dependent. The lower your vitamin D, the lower your testosterone. A comprehensive analysis found that men with adequate vitamin D levels tend to have higher testosterone. But here's the problem. Vitamin D deficiency is epidemic. Unless you're getting significant sun exposure, and most men aren't, you're likely deficient. The clinical endocrinology and metabolism studies found that vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a vitamin. It directly influences the Leydig cell's ability to produce testosterone. But here's what the research really emphasizes. These nutrients work as a system, not in isolation. Zinc helps absorb vitamin D. Magnesium activates vitamin D. Vitamin D supports zinc function. They're interdependent. This is why taking a single supplement rarely works. You need balanced micronutrition, the entire nutritional ecosystem working together. 4. The exercise paradox. Now let's talk about something counterintuitive. Exercise. Exercise is supposed to boost testosterone, right? Well, yes and no. Research from Sports Medicine and the Journal of Applied Physiology shows that resistance exercise does increase testosterone, but the details matter enormously. A study examining heavy resistance training found that acute testosterone increases occur immediately following exercise and can last 15 to 30 minutes. But here's the critical finding. The exercise protocol matters. High-volume resistance training with moderate intensity, larger muscle groups, and short rest intervals produces the best acute testosterone response. We're talking about compound movements, squats, deadlifts, bench press, performed with sufficient volume and metabolic demand. A meta-analysis examining various resistance training protocols found that training programs targeting large muscle groups with free weights and hypertrophy-focused rep ranges produce superior testosterone responses compared to isolated exercises or machine-based training. But here's the paradox. Excessive endurance training or overtraining can actually lower testosterone. Research in endocrine reviews found that athletes training more than 60 miles per week often show testosterone levels comparable to hypogonadal men. The mechanism: chronic physical stress elevates cortisol to the point where it suppresses testosterone production, just like psychological stress. A study on military officer training demonstrated this perfectly. During the first 12 weeks of intensive training, morning testosterone levels decreased significantly. Only during the recovery phase did testosterone increase again. This reveals something crucial. Exercise-induced testosterone benefits require adequate recovery. The adaptation happens during rest, not during the workout itself. The sweet spot appears to be moderate to high-intensity resistance training 3 to 5 times per week, with adequate recovery, proper nutrition, and sufficient sleep. This combination stimulates testosterone production without triggering the chronic stress response. Interestingly, research from the Journal of Functional Morphology and Kinesiology found that both endurance and resistance exercise increase plasma testosterone concentrations acutely. But resistance exercise produces more pronounced and sustained increases, especially when combined with proper volume and intensity. The key takeaway: exercise is a tool. Used correctly, it enhances testosterone. Used incorrectly, too much volume, insufficient recovery, combined with poor sleep and nutrition, it becomes another stressor that suppresses testosterone. 5. The biggest mistake. Now, the single biggest mistake men make when trying to reverse testosterone decline. They try to fix everything at once, burn out after 2 weeks, and quit. Research on behavior change shows that sustainable transformation happens through systematic implementation, not wholesale life overhaul. The protocol that works: start with sleep. Get that dialed in for 2 weeks. Then add resistance training. 2 weeks later, optimize nutrition. Then incorporate stress management. Layer the interventions progressively. Build habits incrementally. This approach, supported by behavioral psychology research, produces lasting change rather than temporary enthusiasm. The second biggest mistake: thinking supplementation alone will fix the problem. Studies are clear. If you're not sleeping, not training, not managing stress, no amount of zinc or vitamin D will restore your testosterone to optimal levels. Supplements support a foundation. They don't replace it. The third mistake: not testing and tracking. Get baseline measurements: total testosterone, free testosterone, cortisol, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium. Track your progress at 4, 8, and 12 weeks. Research shows that what gets measured gets managed. Here's what we know from the research. Chronic stress systematically dismantles testosterone production through multiple mechanisms: cortisol hijacking, mitochondrial damage, sleep disruption, nutritional depletion, and metabolic dysfunction. But the research also shows this: with targeted, evidence-based interventions addressing sleep, resistance training, nutrition, and stress management, men can reverse stress-induced testosterone decline and restore vitality. Your testosterone levels aren't predetermined. They're responsive. Your body wants to produce testosterone. That's its default state. Stress has suppressed it. Our job is to remove the suppression. This isn't about overnight transformation. It's about consistent, progressive optimization based on what the science actually shows works. The research is clear. The mechanisms are understood. The protocols are proven. The question is, what are you going to do with this information? Because knowing without doing changes nothing, but doing consistently, systematically, based on evidence, changes everything. Your vitality isn't gone. It's waiting to be reclaimed. Start tonight with your sleep. Start tomorrow with your training. Start this week with your nutrition. The 48-hour window starts now. If you found this information valuable and want more evidence-based content on men's health, testosterone optimization, and longevity, subscribe to the Mangevity channel and hit the notification bell. Drop a comment below sharing which of these 6 key points resonated most with you, or if you have questions about implementing any of these protocols. And if you know another man who's struggling with low energy, declining vitality, or hormonal issues, share this video. This information could change his life. Remember, the research is on your side. Your biology wants you to thrive. Give it what it needs, and it will respond. See you in the next video.